Okay, so this lesson is about understanding proper sequential motion. So we worked over the six timing components, and then the last one that aims to timing would be proper sequential motion. And essentially, really, all this is the rhythm. Some call it, if you were to practice in the internal arts, they would call it the chi flow or potentially chi breaks. So, chi flow is when the whole body is flowing together. Any movement you would make, if you were throwing a punch, if you're throwing a kick, if you're throwing a combo, whatever you would be doing, if you're doing the stick fighting or the sword training and all that, everything would be in constant flow without any kind of hitch or break and so forth. So, anytime you have like a chi block, if you related that to golf, it's like somebody, if you watch putt and they have a pop at it, or in their swing they kick their hips or they snap their club, they have a chi block, and so it blocks the flow of the overall motion, which is really what the proper sequential motion is. It's the whole body connection relative to what you've been working on with form, and then what we talk about more than anything, which is the timing contact point, or just the timing in general. So it's when you talk about proper sequential motion, we've worked on the float that aids to better transition, whether it's a 10-yard shot like we talked about, 15-yard shot, or if it's a 20-yard shot, or if it's a 300-yard drive. The float is what's going to correct transition, which is the number one goal for this program. Okay, after that, we talk about you have the float and then the contain and delivery and sustain. So you have float, contain, delivery, and sustain through the shot. Obviously, so those are three more components. We talked about the timing contact point, which trumps everything. So obviously that tells you how important that is. And then we have the grip alignment point. Okay? So we really covered everything. Now, when you come out of the float, when you create your float, that's a part of your swing where you have full control. You get to dictate that. Okay? And then as soon as you come out of that, what happens is, as soon as you come out of that, the containment, the delivery, and the sustain, kind of everything through there, the next five components are all one thing. So you would have the float that's one thing, and then the next one is a next thing. You can't go up and float, contain, deliver, and all these things individually. You're looking at that and grading that as you study your videos relative to our website and what we say is right and wrong about that. But really, in real life, if you're going to play today, you take it back, you float, and then you really just deliver the club. Okay, and that covers the containment, the delivery, the timing contact point, the grip alignment point, and the sustain zone. All those things, when you come out of the float, are one thing in real training. So I mean, or not real training, but real golf. So that's your swing. That's all you have control of. In your training, you can work on these things individually. You can study them and get better. You can hit, if you're hitting a 10-yard shot, you can really start to look and say, oh, okay, I see I don't have the containment of the side of the shaft. The club head is dominant versus the handle. And then you might see that, okay, well, I'm handle dominant like this. I'm leading the handle, and the club head's stuck. Then you start to realize, well, that the middle ground is the goal. Okay? You start to understand all these things. And you can feel that if I'm hitting a shot like this and I have a good float, I can feel the containment and the delivery and the grip alignment point and all these things. That's why we train here in these short zones, short little swings, 10, 15, 20. And then all of a sudden, the big swing has to be automatic. So when you start trying to pull that club and hit 70 yards plus, I would say that's probably around the number for the majority of the players. It's either good or bad. So that's a zone you do not want to try to play in or train in, because you can't feel it. Because when you get back here and you're trying to hit it, say 75 yards right there, you can't feel anything, good or bad. And so my point is we have to train these short little 5-yard scale and 10-yard scale all the way up so we have them mastered all the way up. And then so when we go to pull the trigger on a real swing, that it's built in. That it's not, we're not trying to, if we float here, we're not trying to contain, deliver, all this stuff and all that. That will never work, okay? So what my point is, these are not swing thoughts. You go out today and you've worked on it, you're trying to steer this club through here and all this stuff, whatever. It won't work. It has to be trained and programmed with these little bitty baby swings, so then when you go to let it go, that it's automatic. So really pay attention to that. At 60, 70 yards and above, all the way to a 300-yard drive, the swing has to be automatic. You can think of the float, so you can think of slowing down and collecting it, and then you get to follow through. All that would be the delivery, essentially. So float and deliver is all you get to think about. That's about it. Turn back, turn through, some guys think of, but you can't think of all these things. And that's the most important thing if you're trying to become a player. You have to get yourself where you're programmed up properly so that you're not a thinker when you play. You are a player versus a thinker. We're not playing golf swing, we are playing golf. The number is the most important factor here out of all of it. So if you're playing golf swing, you can do it in our program just like you've probably done it in other programs where you're trying to get things working on it and this and that. The difference, what separates our program from everybody else's, is the scale, the 5-yard scale. So when you're here, you can feel if you flip it. You can feel if you twist and come around. You can feel if you flick up. You can feel it. You can do all these things. You can feel all those things because it's a small little zone. You still have to use your iPad and video, but you can really actually feel it. You can feel if you, because now you're aware of it because we talk about it. So if somebody goes, they're trying to hit it 5 yards and they feel it, even they flick at it like this, premature acceleration, softness. That's the cure. It could be whatever it is, but you have to figure it out in these little bitty soft zones where you can feel. 10 yards, all right? 15 yards. Notice, even when I went to 15, I didn't hit it 15 like this, and I didn't go from 10 to 100. Just build it up slowly. Never apply unnecessary force. Notice my swing just gradually getting longer. Okay, just gradually. So you get the point. Baby swing so you can feel it. You've got to be your own coach. That's the goal of this program. It'll never change as long as I own this program. So now, what affects like the flow of the swing? And because that's a long, I could go hours, and I'm not going to do that. I could go hours on what affects it. But I'm going to give you some basics, okay? Mental disturbance, so being nervous. I can assure you, go watch it. Just watch the tour event. Today I think it's the Honda tournament 2016. I can assure you, somebody will hit a shot today out of just being nervous because it's Sunday. Somebody will, and there are probably a lot more than one. But mental disturbance can affect the flow, and that's why you want to be calm, cool, collected. You want to have mental clarity. So, but in general, I've got those here. Got these here. So, the big thing that will affect it will be diet can affect it. If you go have a steak and potatoes and have 5,000 calories and then an hour later you're going to tee off, that will affect your timing, your flow. It'll affect definitely your timing because your flow, the proper sequential motion will be affected. That's why on the tour, yeah, you'll see players that are overweight, but most of them are in good shape. But the ones that are overweight, let's talk about those because everybody goes, well, that's the ones that, if they can do it, why can't we all do it? Well, I can guarantee you those players that are not in the best condition that you see, I guarantee you they don't eat those kind of meals before they go play. They're not out there eating, 10 pancakes and all this stuff for breakfast and having a huge lunch and then going off at tee it off at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon or for even Thursday, Friday, Saturday for that matter. My point is, they might save it and do that later and all this other stuff at bedtime, which is the worst time. They're not doing that before they play. I can assure you that. They keep their bodies light. There's studies all over about this, about you want your body to feel, the lighter you feel, the more agile you feel as an athlete, whatever sport you play, golf, tennis, basketball, whatever. There's proven science on this that the lighter the body feels, the better you play. And that's why you see the brain foods where players are eating a lot of salmon and fish and so forth with, vegetables and not a lot of fruits. You want to keep it really light when you're either before you're playing or the night before that you're playing in competitive events. Diet will certainly affect it. If you go have a poor diet, eat 5,000 calories, 2,000 calories, and it's a poor diet before you play in an hour, it will affect the flow of the swing. Okay? So that affects proper sequential motion, which in turn affects timing. Okay, so sleep. If you've ever done this, there's a lot of players, and we have elderly players, and we've had players that are very, 10 to 12, 13 years old in this program. The 10 and 12, 13, they may be sleeping good, they may not. But in general, as we get older, there will be days throughout your life that you've observed when you don't sleep well, how bad it affects your performance on your daily job. Forget golf. You're just being around other people, you don't have the energy, your system hasn't recharged, you feel bad, you feel sluggish, you feel heavy. It's opposite of light, like I just said. When you feel light and alive and energetic, that's how you play your best. When you feel heavy and sluggish and just down, you don't have the energy, that is the last way you want to play golf. Now, you're going to have days where you have to play like that because it is golf. But in general, you want to do all the things that you know in your power to be able to not do that, especially if you're a competitive player or you're serious about your game, which I believe most players are within our program. So sleep can affect it. If you're out there, you have a terrible night's sleep, that's something you need to look in. There we have some things about sleep that can possibly help you. I'll have more as we go forward, but those are things that you might want to talk to an herbalist about in your area, a nutritionist specialist. I wouldn't recommend doctors. I'm not trying to get here and promote drugs. I'm not here to slam drugs. You have to be very careful when you're putting narcotics in your body, even if they are legal. Okay, so work your way up with that. A sleep specialist, talk to your nutritionalist, a really high level nutritionalist in your area to try to get both diet and sleep. What's the ways you can learn how to sleep better? And there's some things that I can probably help you with personally if you want me to help you with that individually. Okay, and so the age, we don't have control of that, but in reality, typically as we get older, we lose mobility because one, we lose passion for keeping our body up and all these things, and mobility and all that, and just it doesn't even matter if you lose the passion. As we get older, that's the part of it, we start to lose mobility. And that's the only difference between the Champions Tour. The easiest way I can explain this, that's the only difference between the Champions Tour and the PGA Tour. It's age. It's not the talent, it's not that the game's passed them by and all that, it's their bodies passed them by. The bodies has finally got to a point in the brain as well where it's like, okay, it's time to pass that on and let the next generation take over. Age will, it's, those, I'm not, and there's nothing really you can do other than um, continue to improve your diet, your sleep. That's the best things you can do, really naturally for that. And looking at things, like I said, with a specialist with aging, but the natural process is going to make that, so make that happen. We can't fight it, but we should be fighting it in general, in my opinion, if you love life. So, and so I try to fight it, but I see it every day. I'm not the same. My body, my mind, everything's not the same as it was even a few years back. And so I know now that I'm of age where I can feel that. It was hard to understand when I was younger, but now I start to feel those effects, and I can see it changing and feel it changing and all those things. And I'm still going to go out and try to do the best I can and enjoy myself and try to fight some of the things I can fight, and then let the natural aging process take its course. But that affects your sequential motion. When you're 95 years old, if you're on this earth at 95, your swing will not look and feel the same as it did when you were, probably 10, 11, 12, 13. So it goes through a changing. So some of that you can just fight it, but natural process will take it over. So, and then stress, or the kind of you have really the big three: the stress, the anger, and depression. Those affect the sequential motion. If you can, and a lot of this is just through observation and so forth, but you just do your own study. When you see somebody that's really stressed out, had a hard day at work, and they go to play golf at 5 o'clock, and their business has just been whatever their business may be, it doesn't matter. It's hard for them to play good golf because they have all this stress and tension in their body, and they can't, even though they're at what their favorite thing to do, which is golf, they can't get away from it, so they go play bad, and then it ruins their day. Then you have, anger, which is, let's just forget the stress. You're out, you're having a good time, you're 2 under through 6 holes, and then you hit 2 balls in the water, and all of a sudden anger takes over, and it will certainly affect the proper sequential motion. So just being stressed out and angry will certainly affect it, and it's certainly probably the most anger and depression are kind of the same thing. Depression, that's a very, very, very tough battle. It's tougher than the first two that I named. Although stress and anxiety have been proven to lead into depression and so forth, but depression is tough because it's so low feeling that your spirits are so low and your soul is so low that it's just you don't want to be there, you don't care, and that's you don't have any passion typically, and that is and you would need to seek professional help if it's that low and it's that bad. It has nothing to do with golf. But in general, if somebody's angry and stressed, they have fire in their system. They have that fire under there. They just have to need to know the water to cool it down a little bit to maintain it. But at least they have the fire to want to do it. Depression is a dark hole, and there's no passion or desire. And lack of passion or to pick yourself up is why it is far more dangerous in the mental health aspects than, like, say, just being angry or stressed out and so forth. So, I'm not going to go into that road too far because we could go on and on and on. But those all factor in. There's more. There's more factors than that as well. But some of the best golf that I hear about are people are on vacation or with their friends or having a good time. They're doing their thing. But and then some of the worst rounds of golf, really about all the time, is when people are really stressed out. They're maxed out about all the things going on around them, and this and that, and this and that. And that's why when you use our site, we hope that you take advantage of the whole site, which is we have a lot of things that have to do with mental health and physical health that will hopefully help you get to where you are. There's also some things spiritually that have nothing to do with religion that can help you as well, understanding and coping and doing things that hopefully help you in your life and so forth. But those things definitely factor in your ability to flow in your swing. And I know they're very detailed, and that those things are, you probably think, well, my gosh, that's a lot of stuff. But that's what's real. Those are performance factors for sure, without a doubt. And so, if you're when I talk to everybody in this program, I don't talk to you as if you're a 10 handicapper and we're trying to train like a 10 handicapper, or you're a 30 handicapper and you're a 30 handicapper. What I do is, like, if I'm working with a tour player right in front of me and I'm telling them this is how it is and this is how it goes and this is the best that I got right now, these affect your performance further than more than anything else. I'm trying to teach you the same thing, and then you can decide how much of that you either believe in or you want to do or whatever you want. But I'm not saying that you all just do all this 100%, and I know it's not realistic for you to do it 100%, but over time, just chipping away that 1% every day, like we talk about, chip away at it 1%. Just try to get better in some of these areas, in your mental health and the way your outlook on life and this and your physical and in your swing and your game and your playing. And what you'll do is, over time, you will find out that, one, this sequence of motion that we're talking about, the proper sequential motion, gets a lot better, but then also your life gets better, your scores get better, and that's what this whole program is all about. So I hope it helps you not only with your golf game, I hope it helps you with your daily living and coping. And anyway, I hope you have a great day, and again, thanks for listening.